Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland. With me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. I have something very special in store for the grooms in the house. So if you're a groom, this one's for you. If you know a groom, why don't you send this to him? Because today we're talking about 3 very important things that every groom needs to know. And so I'm going to start by saying that you may be a very hands-on groom, or you might be the type of person who lets their other half do all the planning and you just want to kind of show up and see what it looks like. But even if you are on, either end of the spectrum or somewhere in between, these things are things that you will need to know. So I'm going to walk you through these 3 really important things that grooms need to know. And I also have some very special guests. They are wedding planning experts, and they're going to share some really helpful tips with us today. And so you'll get a little bit of info from me, a little bit of info from, people who know all about grooms. And I think by the end of this episode, you're going to feel well equipped to really dominate your wedding. So let's get started with item number 1, and we are talking all about suits. So there are 2 aspects to consider when it comes to suits. And the first one is choosing something for your groomsmen. So whether you're having a wedding party comprised of all men or men and women, or, there's some kind of a mixture, suits are really important. And so I'm going to share something that Brian from All Suits shared with me. I asked him how you can choose suits that flatter everybody, because you probably have a mix of people in your wedding party that look a little bit different to each other. Not everyone looks the same. And so how can you dress them in such a way that they feel their best and they feel super confident because they look really good? So Brian shared everything we need to know. So why don't we take a listen? I think you're really going to like this.
Hi guys, Brian from All Suits here. There are a number of ways to dress your groomsmen, no matter what shape or size they are. Dark suits, like navy or navy with a slight check, are very good for gentlemen who might be of a large size or they might be very tall. Light suits tend to show off the body shape more. Darker suits are sharper for groomsmen and they look better in pictures. Also, men who don't wear suits generally, they feel a little bit more confident in darker suits. What's very popular in our store this year is the groom wearing a completely different suit to the rest of the lads. For example, a nice light grey suit or maybe a light blue suit would make the groom stand out and stand apart from his groomsmen. But he can also wear maybe the same waistcoat, the dark waistcoat as the groomsmen, to blend in with them. The objective here is to make the lads look amazing, but you're the groom, so you want to stand out and you want people to know that you are the groom.
That was so helpful, Brian. Thank you so much for sharing your expert advice. So just to recap a little bit about what Brian said, he said dark suits work really good for groomsmen, especially those who aren't used to wearing a suit. And, you could consider choosing something different for the groom. So if you are a groom and you want to stand out, that's a good idea. And speaking of which, I know that Brian obviously alluded to that, but I actually spoke with David from Louis Copeland, and he shared some really expert tips on making sure that as a groom, you do stand out and that you don't blend in too much. And so let's have a listen to what David has to say. He shares some really practical tips of things that you can do so that you do stand out in your awesome suit on your wedding day.
Hi, it's David here from Louis Copeland, and here are a few ideas that I would have for a groom to stand out from his groomsmen for his big day. So first of all, I think one of the easiest ways for a groom to stand out is for him to wear a slightly lighter shade of suit. When it comes to matching grooms and groomsmen suits, the rule I would have is that they should complement each other, not necessarily match. And therefore, if the groom was to pick a slightly lighter shade than the groomsmen, that'll put him centre stage and make him stand out. Another idea would be, when it comes to tuxedos, that the groom would wear a 3-piece tuxedo. Putting a waistcoat with his tux would make him stand out if the groomsmen were wearing 2-piece tuxedos. And this will definitely come into position when it comes to the evening ceremony, because he will be the only one in the room that's wearing a waistcoat and therefore making him really stand out. Another good idea, I think, is that if the groom wears a contrast waistcoat and the guys wear a three-piece matching waistcoat. So an example of this would be, say for instance, the palette of the wedding was a navy and blue, that the groomsman would wear a three-piece navy suit, the groom would wear a navy suit also, maybe a slightly lighter shade than the groomsman, but that he would wear a contrast waistcoat, so it might be a light grey or a beige.
Those are some really, really practical tips on how to stand out from the other men. So thank you, David. That was David from Louis Copeland. And so now you might be thinking, I need to get some suits. I need something for myself. I need something for the other men. Where do I go? Well, Brian from All Suits and David from Louis Copeland, they both represent amazing businesses that handle everything to do with suits for the wedding. And so I will drop links to both of their profiles in the notes for this episode so that you can contact them. They'd be delighted to help you out, to find the perfect suit for you, and to answer any questions you have about, matching or not matching, complementing one another, standing out, and picking things that flatter everybody. So I will drop those links so that you can just have a look and check them out. So that was the first item out of the 3 things that every groom needs to know. First thing is all about suits. Second thing is all about your wedding party. So we've already spoken about dressing them, but one thing that's really important is to thank them. So I think that it's really special that on your wedding day, you have your besties. You got the people who have been in your life since you were a child, maybe some newer friendships from, work or university. But you've got all these people that are really, really close to you on the day. They're standing up there with you and they've been supporting you along the way. And it's a great opportunity to thank them for the role that they've played in your wedding day and the lead into the wedding day, but also to thank them for the role that they've played in your life as your friend, as somebody who's encouraged you and supported you all along. And one really cool way to do that is to give them a really fun gift. So I'm going to share a couple of gift ideas for your wedding party, but also some tips on things to consider when you choose the gift. So first thing is you can give them something that they can use on the day. So I find this really practical because you're giving them something that's actually useful. It's something that will come in handy at the wedding, but it's normally something they can use beyond the wedding as well. So a couple of ideas on that theme. Things like a classy overnight bag, especially if you're having a weekend wedding, something that they can use after the wedding as well if they go on holiday, or something like skincare products. Now I know men and skincare products don't always go hand in hand because men often forget that their skin also needs to be looked after, but what better gift to give a man, if you've got all your grooms in together and you want to do a little bit of pampering. It's not a feminine thing, it's a fun experience. Face masks or face creams, or even something as simple as sun cream if you're having a summer wedding. Another gift idea is something that they can wear on the day. Things like socks or a really nice tie or even cufflinks. And you can make them, you can have everybody have a very similar, color set, or you can do something unique for each of the guys, based on their personality or things that they really like. You can kind of theme things to your wedding theme as well. Like, for example, if you were we've seen this a lot and it's really cool. If you're having a superhero themed wedding and each of the groomsmen has, a different set of superhero socks or cufflinks or a tie or something. It ties into the wedding theme, but it's also a fun thing that they can use beyond just your wedding. Another idea is something that the men would find useful. So maybe it's not something they can use at the wedding, but it's something they can use in general, like a wallet or sunglasses. And then another thing is something that that they will specifically enjoy. And this is what happens when you really know people well, is each individual person on the wedding party and what they would really like. Maybe it's a drink, like they really love whiskey or they really love beer. Maybe they're super into hot sauce or something like that, like cooking. Or maybe they really love to read and you give them a really special book that they'd enjoy. The idea here is that you pick something that that person would really like and you thank them by giving them that special gift. A few gift-giving tips. Buy something unique for each person. So now I know that it's a little bit more expensive than getting a bulk pack of socks or ties or cufflinks or something. But if you give a unique gift, it shows each person that you know them and you want to thank them personally for the role that they've played in your life. And it's not just, you bought 6 sets of the same thing and you dish them out. You've specifically thought of that person. The second tip is get something that they're actually going to love or use. So try not to buy things that you can imagine would just end up in the bin or in the back of their cupboard. So something that's actually useful, something that you know they would really enjoy, and not just a kind of, a gift that you're giving them just for the sake of it, but something you know they would actually really appreciate. Because remember, at the end of the day, you're showing your appreciation for them. So you want to give them something they'd actually like. And the third tip is make your gift personal. So it could be something like engraving it. So if you're giving a hip flask and you can get it engraved or monogrammed with their name on it, or even something as simple as a handwritten note to go with the gift. It just shows how much you care. It shows how much you value each person, that you've taken the time to personalize the gift. And I'm telling you, your wedding party will feel so special and so excited. And if it's something like a handwritten note, they'll probably keep it and look at it, from time to time after your wedding as well. So that is item number 2, which is for your wedding party, thank them in some special way. But the third and final item out of all the things that grooms need to know is you need to know how to deliver an amazing wedding day speech. And I hope that I haven't given you heart palpitations just thinking about it, because public speaking is not for everyone. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it's an amazing opportunity for you to get up and to thank people and honor people and to really deliver a special speech that people are going to be waiting to hear. So if you're feeling a bit nervous and you have no idea where to start and you want to know how you can make your speech memorable, I've got some expert tips from Melanie from Instanza. She is a wedding speech expert and she has shared some really practical tips for you. And so let's hear what she has to say. And when we come back, I'm going to cover things that you need to actually say in your speech. So let's hear what Melanie has to say.
Hi everybody, Melanie from Instanza here, and I'm chuffed to send a few little gems of information that will help all those grooms out there to get through the all-important but often dreaded wedding speech. So here we go. Plan it well in advance. This is key. 6 to 8 weeks before your wedding, you will need to start thinking about what you're going to say. There can be a huge amount of pressure on the groom to be a superhero with a mic, and this pressure will only mount, and you might find yourself just not being able to eat your dinner on the day. And seeing as you are forking out for every forkful of dinner in the room, it'd be awful if you couldn't eat your own just because you didn't get the giddy up and arrange your speech on time. If you don't know where to start with your speech, get in touch, have a chat about hiring a professional. Like me, I'd be delighted to help you. When the speech has been written, practice, practice, practice. Stand in front of a mirror, take a voice recording, listen back to it when you're in the car or you're out for a walk with your headphones. Just become really familiar with it. The day before the wedding, print a copy of the speech for yourself. Then print another copy and put it into a sealed envelope and write your full name on it. This is a backup. Give it to your best man. So if you misplace your speech, which happens more often than you'd actually believe, your best man can come and bail you out. On the day itself, take it easy on the drink. Take it easy on the drink. I have to say that twice. Save the shots of Jaeger until after you've publicly told your new mother-in-law that you think she's feckin' deadly, whether you believe it or not. When you start to talk, just talk to the back wall for the first 30 seconds. And when you've settled your nerves, just take a minute and acknowledge where you are. It's your wedding day that you have planned with your new bride or groom. Take a moment. Be yourself, be sincere, and relax. You're in the company of the most treasured human beings in your life. And if you play your cards right, this will be the one and only groom speech you'll ever have to make. So good luck, grooms. You have all got this.
Well, I thought that was just so funny and really, really practical. A couple of things that really stood out to me that Melanie shared. First thing is plan well in advance. Don't save this for the night before the wedding or even the week before. Give yourself some time. The second thing that she shared, which I thought was genius, is to print 2 copies of the speech. One for yourself, one in a sealed envelope with your full name on it that you can give to your best man or somebody else who you can trust, who will keep it for you in the very likely event that you misplace your own copy. And then the final thing, just relax, enjoy yourself, stare at the wall while you're speaking. And as you start to adjust to the fact that you're talking in front of people, you'll become more relaxed and you can start making eye contact. So Melanie from Instanza, thank you so much for those tips. If you thought, you know what, I actually do need some expert advice, I need to partner with somebody who's going to help me deliver an amazing speech, Melanie is the person to speak with. So I will drop a link to her profile so you can get in touch with her as well, because she's amazing. But I did mention I would go through a few things that you need to cover in your speech. So let's rattle them off quickly together. So there are two elements to a good groom speech. Element number one, thanking people. And element number two, talking about your new spouse. So these are the people that you will need to thank in your wedding speech. Anybody who made the wedding day special. So we're talking suppliers who are present. There's no need to thank people in your speech if they're not actually in the room at the time. You want to thank your friends and family who contributed, whether it was financially or they did something on the day. Maybe they helped to set up, or they were doing readings, or they were the ushers at the ceremony. Anybody who's in the room and did something to make the day happen, you want to thank them. Second group of people is your new family. Take the time to acknowledge your spouse's parents and how they've raised the love of your life, and they've done an amazing job, and thank them for who they are, what they've done in your life and for the wedding. Next group of people is your actual family. So you want to thank your own parents, your siblings, anybody in your family who helped to raise you and make you to be the person you are today. Give them a special mention because they will feel so honored and so special. And then the final group of people you need to thank is your wedding party. You want to thank the people, and I know we've gone into detail about thanking them with gifts, but in your speech as well, give them a mention, thank them by name. They will really value that. And then the second part of your speech is actually talking about your new spouse. So these are some tips. Firstly, take note of things that you love about them. So list anything you love about them. You can be serious, you can be kind of funny, a little bit of both. You can include a couple of things that are maybe, people who know both of you will really appreciate them. Make it specific and make it fun. You can talk about how amazing they look because, your new spouse will really appreciate knowing that you think they look awesome on their wedding day. Share something special and meaningful about your relationship. Maybe it's how you met. Maybe it's how you knew that they were the one. Maybe it's some kind of, behind the scenes piece of information about when you proposed that maybe they didn't even know. Share something really special about the relationship. And finally, keep it lighthearted, but don't be afraid to show emotion. If you get emotional, that's totally fine. Just lean into it, enjoy it. People will appreciate it. And I think you're about to deliver an amazing groom's speech. So in summary, these are the three things that every groom needs to know. Number one, don't forget about arranging awesome suits for yourself and your wedding party. Number two, find a way to thank your wedding party. Maybe it's a gift, maybe it's a handwritten note, maybe it's both, but it's definitely in your speech, which is the third thing, is deliver an awesome and memorable wedding speech. Well, thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.